Any public comment on this item? There being none, all those in favor of B27? Did you submit a slip? Is it on this item, sir? Okay, where is your slip? And Mr. Bramo as well did not submit a slip. It is customary that if you wish to speak, that you submit a slip so I can know who wishes to speak. Go ahead. Is this Mr. Bortel? Always be.
Following on what Mr. Solange, Henry Boytel, Rockville Center, New York, following on what Mr. Solange has said.
You affiliated with any organization, sir?
I'm affiliated with a lot of organizations. I speak only in my own name and not on behalf of anybody else in the world.
Oh,
except maybe the people of Nassau.
Well, I would hope so. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Following what Mr. Solange has said, it seems to me that as financial matters are presented to this body for consideration and approved, there ought to be an explicit statement someplace that this money has been in the figures that have been provided to NIFA or have been presented to the figures that the controller has used in determining what our deficit is going to be, or what the organization that's what do they call it, the finance organization of this legislature has before it. It's never clear when you consider these things whether these are things which are specifically in the budget and have been planned for, or whether this is some generalized thing which is being taken from some slush fund, or whether it's something that has yet to be budgeted for. And so my suggestion is that when you are asked for an appropriation, there ought to be an explicit statement that is part of the public record as to whether there is an existing basis for what is you're being asked to approve. Have I made myself understood?
No, yes, Mr. Boytel, I want to thank you for raising those. Excuse me.
It is part of the capital project, and I think Mr. Arnold, who was here there before, said so, and that the money has been encumbered for it. And if there is a problem with it, I think he would have expressed that as well. So I don't know what the comments, your comments are regarding the inadequacy of Mr. Arnold in presenting this item to this legislature. And I also want you to know that every legislator gets backup on every item, right, that is presented to us today. Right? And so that means there's a lot of reading that goes on. And if you don't do the reading, all right, this is a good, well, if you do the reading, it's a good time to start asking the questions. All right? Now, I don't know where you're coming from or what your purpose is, but I'm telling you right now, your slip doesn't say what you're saying. You're here to talk about
speed. Ma'am, I changed it.
Hold on, sir.
Yes.
But you submitted a slip that said to me that you were going to speak on speed cameras. Well, speed cameras are not on the items today.
And so I changed it.
Well, I think you ought to change this as well.
Yes.
So
now, I'm sorry that you're getting angry at me.
No, I'm not getting angry. I just want you to know that we do as much due diligence as we can possibly do. And we do get backup up the yin-yang. I'm telling you that right now. And it's a lot of reading that we do. And the individual that was before the mic gives us the information that he has and that we should have as well.
With all due respect, ma'am, you have an agenda which is made public, and the clerk very conscientiously publishes that in advance of the meeting so that the public is supposed to have some idea of what's being discussed.
Absolutely. That's why we do it.
Now, unfortunately, the agenda is always in caps and it's almost impossible for most people to read comfortably. And secondly, when they look at that agenda, it's really without the background material that many public bodies publish so that the public has an understanding of what's really being discussed. You don't know what's being discussed. And I'm suggesting that in any event, as part of that agenda, there ought to be a simple code that says this has been budgeted for already, or it's not been budgeted for already, and now it's just a question of approving the specifics. I don't think that's so complicated or so difficult. And you may see a lot of things in your office that is distributed to you, but the public doesn't see it.
But you can also request it, Mr. Bartel.
Pardon me?
If there is a question that you have, seeing an item, let's say, on the agenda that is posted, you have the ability to request the information.
I grant that, but what you're saying is that on every item that comes up here, I should stand up and ask the same question. And I'm saying that your job is to inform us in advance so that we don't have to ask that question. There ought to be some transparency to the question of what is already budgeted and what has not yet been budgeted. What's coming from a slush fund and what's not coming from a slush fund.
Your 3 minutes have expired, sir.
That's not so complicated.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, Madam Chairwoman, just that everything that comes before us has been, for funding or for approval for contracts, has been previously approved in the capital project. The capital project is identified. As Mr. Arnold said, it wouldn't come before us if the funding wasn't in place. We do provide an agenda. Now, I can tell you that the backup for this agenda is some 3,500 pages. Now, if you want, we could provide to you the backup also, so that if you want to go to each individual item and see if there's any questions you have, knock yourself out. But basically, we're providing the information that we need to. And as I said, I understand the issue that you're raising, but as we said before, if it comes to us for approval of a contract, the funding is in place, there's information in the backup that we get as to which capital project it is, and it was everything that comes to us in that regard is approved in the capital plan.
So easily resolved. At the top of your agenda, just say all the items for which funding is being requested here have previously been approved or budgeted or whatever, so that at least
on the record
the
here
public
that you would
who is not readily familiar with all of your rules and practices has some idea. You go all over your website, what you have just explained to us is nowhere to be found.
And that's exactly what
as is most of a lot of things that you do.
May I have a copy of that?
I understand. It takes time for you to catch up with modern technology in terms of communications and all that sort of stuff. But now is the time for people like me to get up and
yes,
point
I
out to
would
you
hope that you would all, I was under the impression that you all received it.
What you are doing.
So then you'll all get it. Thank you, Mr. President. And now for an item on.
I would also like that list from Mr. Milley.
He's going to have it printed off so that everyone can get it now.
Thank you. And also that list from Mr. Milley regarding the attorneys that work there, and also those.
I will be perfectly honest with you. I do not recall asking, or anyone asking Mr. Mealy.
He just stepped back in. I think we could.
Giving us a list of all the attorneys who work in the county attorney's office. I don't recall that.
I believe it was in the finance committee hearing, and Legislator Denenberg had asked him of that list.
I don't recall that because I wasn't in the finance committee.
Okay, then. Just want to make sure that we have transparency here, because overall we must make sure that we invest in our county attorney's office. It was the transcript and the statement of the administration that they had not made proper investments into our sewer system over the years, and as a result, which led to now an outside party operating, which I approved of course, for that. But I want to make sure that we don't have that same thing happening here with our county attorney's office. Yes, as Legislator Nicolello stated, that it leads to savings. At the same time, we must make sure that we have the proper resources in our county attorney's office in order to handle the important legal work that they do.
I agree 100% that the defense of the county in all aspects requires that we do everything in our utmost power to provide those resources.
Can we ask Mr. Milley for the...
Mr. Milley, are you here to respond to Mr. Szilagyi' request?
I'm sorry, I was out of the room when Mr. Szilagyi made a request, apparently.
About a month ago, you had stated to my colleague, Legislator Denenberg, in a Finance Committee hearing that you will provide a list of attorneys in the county attorney's office and also a list of those positions that have been, I guess, cut or reduced.
I don't recall that.
It's on the record. Oh.
If it is, then That's fine. I don't recall agreeing to. I think a roster of the attorneys who work in the office is easily accessible and providable.
Okay. Whether or not it was on the record, can you please provide that list?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments regarding 8207? Any public comment? There being none? Excuse me. You have ample time to submit these items. Now, you said, Mr. Boytel, that you're representing all of Nassau County, okay? I don't understand how you can be representing all of Nassau County if you don't have an official title. Joking aside, it's on the record. It's on the record, sir.
Why don't we cut to the chase? I'd like to make a comment with regard to what just occurred, and that is apparently some report was generated as a result of an off-the-record meeting, and I'm wondering whether that report is going to be made a matter of public record in addition to being provided to Mr. Szilagyi.
It's really a spreadsheet of numbers which can be provided to anyone. I think the numbers were quoted in a Newsday article about a month or so ago, so it's
Newsday is
not
not
a
the
public
paper.
secret.
It's not the publication point of record. You have a website.
Mr. Boytel, would you
Yes.
suggest another way to communicate?
Yes, you have a website, and when you have
Do you
reports,
think our website would reach more people than Newsday?
when you have reports that you know what they contain and you're talking to each other about, how is the public to know what's in that report?
You know, we accept constructive criticism, but I got the sense you're just coming up here for the sake of criticizing us. I mean, you know, it was in Newsday. I mean, we could put it on our website all we want. It reaches a certain number of people. Newsday goes out to 400,000 people a day. So, you know, to criticize us for having a Newsday and not in the website, it's kind of ridiculous, if you ask me.
I'm going to interject right now. Mr. Boytel,
Yeah.
I'm going to interject right now. I think that we do the best job we can to get as much information out to the public. We have Newsday. Newsday reports adequately, okay? We do have press releases that we send to our constituents, and we do put as much information as we can on our websites. I am telling you right now, many people may not be reading Newsday, and if they get Newsday, they still may not be reading it. And there are many people who do not have internet access. So you know what? We cannot meet the needs of all of the people all of the time. We're doing the best job we can possibly do. You want to stand up here and criticize us? Let me tell you something. Your motivation is very questionable.
What, perhaps, as a matter of personal privilege, perhaps you can tell me what that motivation is. I think that's quite unfair. This is an open meeting. I'm asking
It's not unfair.
a fair
You have been
question.
coming to every meeting, addressing every single item, and you have not really identified yourself as someone belonging to a particular group. And I'm sorry. You cannot come up here and constantly, I'm sorry. Yes, he does.
No.
Yes, he does. Hey, you know, I'm the presiding officer. I think it's fair. If I were representing a particular group, I would be proud enough to say it. Okay?
What group do you represent? What group do you represent?
I'm asking for.
I'm sorry that he's constantly up here, meeting after meeting, finding fault with every single thing that we do. If you were sitting in my seat, Mr. Abrams, guess what? I don't know if he would be standing up there belly aching.
No, but Madam President, to be fair, I mean, Mr. Boytel has the right to be here.
Absolutely, I'm not questioning it. I am not questioning his right. But there's every single item he finds fault with, saying that we are not giving you the information that you certainly deserve.
That's his constitutional right.
Well,
his constitutional right.
But I'm telling him that's not the case.
Okay, well, but he can still question. I mean, this.
Have you been satisfied with the answer I gave you, Ms. Bortel?
My question is, are you going to make it a matter of record?
It is a matter of record because it's going into the transcript.
Oh, you're going to put that report in the transcript?
Yes, and guess what? Our transcripts are available.
You're going to put that report in the transcript?
Absolutely. If it's going to be disseminated in a public meeting.
Great. That's all I was asking, and you could have solved it just by answering the question I put to you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bortel. It's always a pleasure.
Sorry, hello.
Let's put in a slip. What's the slip on?
I just want, I'm not really here for this, but I think I have a comment to make about the legal issue that's been brought up in many meetings.
So, state your piece.
I was born in Nassau County. I have an interest in the way this county is run. I noticed that one is a very fundamental way of analyzing how governments or institutions operate is lacking in this discussion about legal services, et cetera. And that's a question of how things are done in other similarly situated government entities. What does Suffolk County do? What does Westchester County do? How do we compare to them in terms of what percentage of contracts are inside, what are outside, what the cost per resident would be, what the cost per budgeted overall county budget is as a percentage. These are all kind of baseline management and analytics that could shine a lot of light on the question of whether you're doing something right or wrong beyond a comparison of one administration to the next, which also is a comparison along time, which is not necessarily a fair comparison because things change over time. That being said, there's also the question of whether you could work with other government entities like Suffolk County or like New York City to pool some of your resources. And then the other question about these outside contracts is two things. Number one, there's the P word, patronage, and there's the connection. What percentage of our budget is going to a premium to pay for insiders to make an exaggerated living off the county taxpayers? What is the bidding process for these different contracts? And beyond that, there's the question, what is the loyalty of these lawyers who are independent of the county as opposed to the loyalty of lawyers who would be part of the county bureaucracy? So there are a lot of questions, and I think this is a kind of issue that isn't exclusive with the attorney's office. I'm sure you could ask the same question about Public Works and about the health department. All of these agencies would be susceptible of management and analytics that compare what do other municipalities do, what do other counties do, how do we compare? Because the other counties tend not to be under government receivership, and they tend not to be losing businesses left and right and having severe dysfunction. And quite frankly, the level of patronage and kind of the reputation Nassau County has for being not a place that business is done very well, government business is conducted very well in. So I would suggest that, I think it's a relevant question. Rather than keep on poking at how many people you have in the office, ask some more kind of scientific questions about how is it done elsewhere.
Thank you very much,
and
Mr.
how do we
Brown.
compare to that?
Thank you. There'll be no further discussion on E207. All those in favor of E207 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the vote is for. What? I know, that's what I'm doing. Okay, and I'm going to join E208, E209, and E210, all from